Hello. How nice to see you. Oh, actually, hang on. Ops. Yeah, you're far too young to get that reference. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is a live 58 Keys video. 58 Keys being, as ever, as always, for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. It's got to be something else. Apple Watches, maybe a little thing. Apple Vision Pro. Is there anything? AirTag? No, no. Drawing the line at AirTags. We're not writing on AirTags. Okay, there's a limit here, and that's where it is. Okay. The point of a 58 Keys live edition is that it's just you and me, and we can get to talk about things. That's it. I would like this to um, descend. That's the word I'm looking for. Descend into a total mess, really. How does that so no, that's a bit too far. There's a 58 Keys Patreon thing every Sunday where we do a kind of writing as a few minutes chat, and then once a month there's just a chat for us to deliberately not write. And that's what I want here. You and me to talk like we're doing those, which is to kind of officially be about writing, but writing's everything. Isn't it? I mean, everything is about writing. Writing is about everything. Everything is interesting, except football. Okay, so we can go off onto all sorts of things, and I hope we do. But let's at least try to be responsible adults in the room and begin with an agenda. No, that's too far. We can have minutes later agenda. Now, how formal do you think we should be? I don't think I'm dressed for formal. Let's start, okay, with some talk about Apple Intelligence, because I think that's the thing that's happening here. Oh, Dot, you want an agenda? Minutes of the last meeting? Any other business? Something in between the two? You tell me. And Teresa, I was mispronouncing controversy, all of those, pile them together. Teresa saying, do I mean football or soccer? Yeah, really, I mean sport. And that's Teresa gone out the door straight away. Sorry about that. Mark, hello. Let the descent commence. Sorry, that sounded a bit Klingon there, didn't it? Today is a good day to descend. We should ramp down, shouldn't we, a little bit? Takes care of the old business. Oh, no, the new business. Robert's rules are order in effect then. Yes. Do you know, I read the phrase Robert's rules the other day. I thought, I must look that up sometime. It'll never come around again. I thought, okay, I really do want us to descend, but let's try to set off on a journey into Apple Intelligence. Okay, we'll start with Apple Intelligence because things have been happening that this week. I think it's kind of the topic of the moment because, it has writing tools in it. So naturally, you've got to think, that's for us. Chaos makes life so much more interesting. Okay, Dot, slightly worried about you now, but in a great way. What's been going on with Apple Intelligence? I do want to talk about that. But the thing for me is I thought this before we had any Apple Intelligence. Now we have a kind of a bit of it, sort of, kind of thing. And later we'll have much, much more. But I feel kind of reaffirmed in the last week of what I hoped Apple Intelligence would be like from the way Apple went on and on about it, which comes down to this. We've actually been having lots of discussions about this in the comments on 58 Keys. There are all of these AI apps, all of these AI services, but it's got to be a really good reason for me to stop in the middle of writing, go launch another app, ChatGPT or something, do whatever it is to do, and then come back. We need to get things written. So stay in the writing. And I do nip out for various things, but it's got to be a good reason. And with Apple Intelligence, it feels like the aim is keep you there doing what you need to do and help you along the way. Kind of the best example, I think, is, it's because my favorite, Apple Mail. Now, if you look at the inbox list, it gives you a quick summary of what the messages are. So rather than the first 3 lines or something, here's roughly what it's about. I do unfortunately mean very roughly. Maybe half the time it's not right? It's like it summarizes the first message that was in a thread yesterday rather than the new reply, little bits, pieces like that. But I'm in the middle of mail. I'm working normally. There's some helpful stuff from AI, from Apple Intelligence in particular. That's the kind of thing I like. Michael, oh, species of football. That's a nice phrase. Okay. Where do you stand on the rest of the entirety of sport? Oh, apparently, I should. Vital that you know this, and I'm sure I'm the first person to tell you. Apple has its own new ish sports app on the iPhone, and it was updated recently. Apparently, you heard it here last. Apple Intelligence. Okay, focus, William. I think it helps us as writers. I think it's going to help us as writers more than separate apps like Copilot or Apple, Google Gemini, or whatever Google's calling its thing today. All of these things that you go off to. I think increasingly it'll help. But the thing that I want out of it is more time to write. And I don't really care whether you call that AI or something else. And it turns out there's an awful lot of something else's that can help us right now get on with our writing. I think particularly on the Mac, a little less so on the iPhone and the iPad, but it's there. So I'd like to cover some stuff about that. So bits of Apple Intelligence, get that out of the way, and then bits of different things you can do right now that will. I'm sorry, do you want this actually? Do you want more time to write? A friend emailed me yesterday saying she's really into AI apps now because it means you can play with these instead of writing. And she's such a good writer. She writes opera. Yeah, and her drama scripts of dialogue kills right like a dialogue. So I'm very glad, basically, that she's away off with the fairies, playing with AI instead. May she have a great time for a long time. Kind of looking at me now. She's not watching this. She's not there with you, is she? Anyway, getting more time to write. Loads and loads of ways to do this. Apple Intelligence, I think, is going to be one of them. But more than the rest, far more than the rest, the benefits Apple Intelligence gives us about giving us more time to write, you have to be careful with. You've got to be guarded with. The things I want to talk about that aren't AI, there's text expansion. So you write, you type out the letters X, A, D, D, and boom, it's replaced with your full postal address, your phone number, your shoe size, or something like that. It's on a screen. Oh, Stuttgart in Germany. Hello, love it. You're in there. I'm in England. I'm in Birmingham. It's great. Right. And Michael, more on AI, learning about AI generated art. Okay. I would like to hear much more about that from you. If you can tell me about this in here, or you've got a YouTube channel. Actually, Michael, could you put a link to your YouTube channel so that we can all go off and have a look? I mean, hopefully not during this hour, but later. Because this is one area that it's not a mystery to me. And it's not that I don't do any illustrations. I write a lot of articles that have to be illustrated in some way. So I'm regularly, I mean, I might have 20 images by the end of any average working day and things, and yet I never use generative AI for images. So fill me in. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what I should be doing and what I should be using for it, particularly while we wait, because Apple Intelligence hasn't given us the image stuff yet. Tell you what, let's go on with Apple Intelligence stuff. There's tons of things that I want to tell you that aren't AI at all, or Apple Intelligence in particular. Steve, another, it's a rollicking 50. How can I live up to rollicking? Now, okay, in the second half, there'll be songs. Nobody's going to stick around for the songs. It'll be fine. Okay. Using generative AI, mild giant, never heard of. It's great novel covers and illustrations. Okay. Stuart. Stuart is in the house. And excuse me, could we all just please look at Stuart? Apple Intelligence is one thing, but all this other stuff about saving time, that's actually Stuart's idea. He said a few weeks ago over Patreon, couldn't we do something about automation? Well, really? That's what this is going to be about. So blame him. Okay, Darren's here as well. Hello. Great. We can really get going here. the Apple Intelligence stuff. What I have learned in the last week, don't swear on Apple Intelligence, okay? It's a family show. I don't really understand what happened because I'm not trying to be prudish. I haven't been, not this week, I haven't been in any conversation where I've needed to swear over email and stuff, but apparently something happens. Do you look at the quality of information you get from me? Well, how about this? It's been uncovered this week that whatever you ask Apple Intelligence, Apple slips in a bit beforehand without showing you. It's like trying to guide Apple Intelligence to play nice, to give the right answers. It actually explicitly says, do not hallucinate. Does that work? I don't know. Loads of instructions get fed down, and people are trying to subvert it and get around it, which is quite interesting. Oh, Mark, thank you. Crashes on the wedding anniversary. Yeah, it was great. Oh, I wish I could show you this. We stayed at a place called the Rotunda in Birmingham. We were like, it's an apartment. It was on the 16th floor, and I took some real Tom Cruise Mission Impossible shots of me apparently hanging out of the window. I didn't really come back. Oh, Steve, that was me. Come back here to sensible stuff. Steve is saying all the indie author groups, they are virulently opposed to generative AI of any kind. They certainly don't see it as just another tool in the kit. I think ultimately it's going to be, and I think so far it looks like Apple Intelligence. That's where it's pointed. But I mean, because we've been using artificial intelligence or machine learning, pick your term, for 10 years or more. I mean, every time, Steve, every time I try to type Donahue, my iPhone auto-corrects it for me, and that's Apple Intelligence. What's the other thing? If, Siri suggestions, every day at this time you check the weather, so it offers you the weather. That's also Apple Intelligence. Excuse me, that's artificial intelligence. That's the kind of thing that you wouldn't think to call it AI, you just think it's useful. And it doesn't take something away from you, it doesn't replace anything you're trying to do. I think that's where we're going to end up, but we're nowhere near there yet anyway. How is the quality on the writing tools yet? Are you satisfied with the proofreading feature? This is crazy. I can't work this out at all. I have a friend in Wales, so we're both outside the US. He's gone through the same things I have to contort his systems to let them use the US only features. And it's fine for him. And for me, it does nothing. Do yet again, that makes me think he must be a terrible writer and I must be an absolutely brilliant one. Because basically Apple Intelligence just says, you go, William. Exactly. Yeah, okay. You could believe me for a minute there, couldn't you? Steve saying, I assume your phone swoops in on Donahue for interpol-related reasons. Not a worrying set of people on this call. Writing tools. The major one that you're thinking of is the one that actually says proofreading, and I assume that's the one I would use the most. I don't like Grammarly, but a kind of spell checking, grammar checking, you missed out a word stuff. I thought that's what I would use proofreading for, and I expect I will when it works for me. I truly don't understand why I'm getting some features and not others, but actually that's one I'm not very fussed about yet. Right alongside that, there's also a review feature. No, excuse me, a rewrite feature, and it does genuinely rewrite your copy. But I said this in a 58 Keys video last week. I used to work with this particular sub editor. There's a decent chance you've not had to know what a sub editor is. It sounds like someone below the editor, like in the rankings or something, and actually it's a completely different job. What they do is they're like a human grammar checker, I suppose, but that's woefully underestimated. And great sub editors fix your language. They make it clearer for the audience. Oh, can I tell you a really quick story? I once wrote this thing that was incredibly complicated. I mean, so technical. I think it was technical, legal, it might even have a bit of finance in there as well. And it really stretched me trying to convey this point. And you had to know the point to then follow whatever the news story was. And I got this thing down to 300 really tight words, and I was so smug until the magazine came out. And I mean, W.H. Smith's, the newsagent, picked it up, reading this, and the sub on the desk had got it down to 25 words, and it was so much better. I phoned the production desk to thank them about it. That's what a great sub does. A less great sub is somebody who's doing this because they want to write, and this is the way into it, or it can be the way into it, arguably. And this particular sub would take my copy, other people's copy, and if it was a slow day and there was time, she'd rewrite it rather than edit it. And you know, I'm not saying she's a bad writer at all. It was fine. It's just, it was fine already. So what happened was just that it was different. And okay, feels like a bit of a waste of everybody's time, but that's it. The same but different. And so far, that's the feeling I've had from the little bit I've done with the review feature in Apple Intelligence's writing tools. Yeah, the same, bit different. I actually struggle to see the difference, but it is there, the odd word here or there. So that's writing tools and rewrite. I'm a little unclear over what rewrite is supposed to do. I just see it do something. But then there's also the thing, you know, about this, that you write some text, select it, and you can say, make it friendly, professional, or concise. Earlier today, I popped in the start of the US Constitution, you know, the we the people bit, JFK's speech about the moon landing, including that dreadful bit. You know, we choose to go to the moon and do the other things. Do the other things. What a rubbish line that is. But anyway, I put all of that in, and I put in the lyrics to Born to Run, Bruce Springsteen. In every case, trundle, trundle, the writing tools, you could feel the sweat coming up, and eventually it would come up with, not really designed for this. Those are the actual words. Maybe not the term, but those are the words. I'm not designed for this, you know, but there's still a continue button. It's all like a go on, then try button. And you do it and kind of rewrite them a bit. I think the one I remember was JFK. We go to the moon. Kind of thing. That was the friendly one, not the concise one. I sound like I'm mocking this stuff. Let's see. Thomas is talking to Steve. Okay, so I should leave you there. No, I'm really curious. Oh, the good thing on proofreading is a system-wide availability. Yes, absolutely. Have you tested it with Scrivener on the Mac? Do you know I haven't? I've done most stuff in email and Pages because that's where I happen to be. I mean, you're right. It'll be the same in all of them. The less, AI. The less interested I am. I want my voice, not Jenna. Yeah. Can we summarize all of this? If you use your AI to write your book, I'm just going to use my AI to read it for me. You know, what do we need each other for? Let him get on with it and things. Thomas is offering cover service on a low budget for self-publishers, but somehow they're all affected by the generative AI is from hell virus, but I keep on trying. Thomas, are you an artist yourself? Because I look at some of this generative AI stuff and I think that's really good. That's really terrible. I wouldn't be able to nudge it or adjust it or whatever you do. Good Lord, their sheer anger on the subject always strikes me as downright weird. It's funny how I think people get very defensive about their writing and anything to do with creativity. And is that a bad thing? I think the end result might be, but the root of it. Anyway. The friendly, the concise, and the professional. I made a joke there that I was mocking it, and then I just stopped because I like that joke. You know, when you expect something, you're right. You know, there are certain sentence forms you like, and I enjoy that one. I know it's not for us. That's the thing. So I'm a bit relaxed about it. I know I'm going to get emails from people that have used it, and as long as it ends up saying what it is they meant to say, then okay. I mean, I get a lot of subliterate emails. I hope I don't send a lot of subliterary emails, but subliterate emails. There's a chance then there, isn't there, that I get this wrong. An email that I can understand is better than an email that I can't. So, I don't know. But people, I think, who would rely on tools like that, even for emails, are not writers. Forgive me, I've said this before, but it bothers me a lot. It bothers me and I like it a lot. For you and I, as a writer, I know we're into this, we're into words, and we would enjoy writing it. But even when we dash off a really fast email, for us, there's more to it than I think for anyone else. You email somebody about something and it's about that thing, it's to them, but you are also completely separately advertising yourself as a writer, your clarity, your ability to make them laugh, maybe something like this. It's all there in the text, using the skills, the tools you have and you unthinkingly employ. If we ever get to the stage where, what could we do now? Here's an invoice, and you push a button and it changes it to just invoice, and maybe adds or else. I'd like that. I think I said that actually on the Apple Insider podcast the other week. We have friendly, professional, and concise. Could we have threatening, musical? Can developers expand this? I'm getting too carried away. Now, if someone were to say sub-editors are from hell, that I could agree with. I did think of a story then. I'm trying to resist. Please don't press me. And Thomas is giving some examples, and I can't see it in the list I've got here, but I will check later. Serious. I keep on writing my novels myself. Good on you, Thomas, because it's your novel that I want. Darren, I totally agree about emails being a great ad for our writing style. I'm honestly surprised how long it took me to realize it. But I had such nice responses from you. Can I tell you this? This is just you, isn't it? It's one of these cases where if I tell you this amount, I'll sound good. I mean, a bit pig-headed and arrogant and not myself, but broadly good. And if I told you a little bit further, I'd look like an idiot. Okay. John Cleese, this is a very long time ago now, about 20 years ago. John Cleese was apparently very ill. He was in hospital, some operation for things. And there was an email from me from Radio Times asking for some quote for some feature. And even the desk at Radio Times was saying, well, you suppose you have to try, don't you? But it's not going to happen. He doesn't respond. We didn't know he was in hospital then. He wasn't going to respond. And he wrote me back this gorgeous note for it. I think it came down to, I'm basically not going to tell you anything, but he said it in such a funny way. It was nice. Letting AI write for me like a dancer, letting a robot dance for them. I've been watching Fame recently, and I'm starting to think those people must have been robots. 3 songs a week, 7-day turnaround stuff. Dancers are robots, just nice ones. Friendly, professional, concise, condescending. Oh, Mark, that wins. Forget threatening, condescending. You want to try it, don't you? Is this something we can add ourselves to it? Steve, see what I mean? People defend sub-editors, but when they think, yeah, you don't know the story I was thinking about. I can't tell you. I can't. Maybe one more push will help it. The sarcasm option. Dot wants a sarcasm option. Dot, can you do this for me? Can you say something in the chat that is really dripping with sarcasm? Just oily dripping with sarcasm for me. See if you can do that about something. Can't really even suggest what. Okay. We've covered one question about proofreading. It's read to all of these, and I'm so close to telling you the sub-editor story. How about this? I start off by saying things to be cautious of with AI. Do I want a sarcasm up? Sorry, I reread that, Doc, because the screen popped up, and I thought, is that you being sarcastic? That's really clever. I'm confused. Mark, rescue me. To be fair, that's how I used to write emails to my professors. Stuart and I. Now, everybody waiting for it. Reasons to be wary of AI. This is something else I learned this week, not because of Apple Intelligence, but I just thought it was so interesting. One of those things that I suppose it's technical, but the way I learnt it, I thought it was really interesting for us as writers, because it's apparently known as the Tom Cruise problem. You would never associate Tom Cruise with AI for you. Oh, Thomas, okay, sarcasm. The only good thing for your country to Brexit is to get Apple Intelligence earlier than the EU. Thomas, I'd like to point out it was 2016 that Britain voted to leave. And in all that time, nope, you're right, 8 years. Poverty, misery, all that stuff. Anyway, the Tom Cruise problem. It's not really to do with Tom Cruise, but here's a good example of it. Forgive me if you know this one, but it was new to me. I think it's so interesting. The Tom Cruise problem is this. If you ask an AI app of any description, who is Tom Cruise's mother, it will come back with you. I had to write this down because I kept forgetting it. Mary Lee South. Okay, I didn't know that yesterday. I know it now. That's nice. AI told me this. But if you instead ask, who is Mary Lee South's son, it's quite likely to not work. I mean, I tried this earlier myself and it worked on the one I used it. So maybe it's just falling down already. But the idea is, you think Apple Intelligence, excuse me, this is artificial intelligence, is all of it. You think that it is, and I know you don't think it's understanding what you're saying. You think it's parsing, P-A-R-S-E, love that word, parsing what you do to work out what you mean and then getting you the answer, but it is not. What it's doing is looking for, here are the words you've asked, who is Tom Cruise's mother? And the last 60 million people who, for some strange reason, wanted to know that fact, all got the answer. Mary Lee South reported back. But practically no one searches for who is Mary Lee South's son. So there's nowhere on the internet, nowhere on these language modules, what they've been trained on, where it says Mary Lee South's son is Tom Cruise. And that's why it struggled. So the Tom Cruise problem. Apparently it's getting better, but I don't understand how. My submission for a sarcastic statement. Silence is golden. Duct tape is silver. Dot. Eek, the pressure of coming with sarcasm is making me a little... Oh, no. Was that sarcastic? I don't know. Sorry, Dot. Didn't mean to put you under pressure there. But you're a writer. You can handle this. Oh, I wanted us to descend. Are we descending into sarcasm a little bit here? I wish I was clever enough to think of something sarcastic there. Dot, I'm with you, under pressure. I couldn't think of anything. Thomas, and I badly look for a white duct tape these days. Okay. There's a show called Burn Notice. Screensaver's just gone, hasn't it? I need to show you something in a second, so let me just get rid of that. Ooh. Touch ID. You didn't see any of that. Duct tape. There used to be a show called Burn Notice, and I'm sorry, I blanked on the name of the creator. The writer, I can almost see it. But duct tape was being used. It's a spy series, it's an action series. Duct tape came into it so often. Quick story. I'm sorry, you can't stop me, can you? This is not the way the descent was supposed to go, but all right, since it's us, and this is about writing. Burn Notice is a very tense, very good series, really witty, terribly well written. Oh, I'm so close to the guy's name now. The thing is, it's about an ex-spy, and in practically every episode, he is showing you how to do something, how to tap a phone, how to blow up a car, all of this stuff. It's all set in Miami, and it turns out that there's an FBI branch in Miami. I suppose there is everywhere, but Every time someone new joined that branch, after a couple of weeks, they'd go, "Have you heard about this? Like, there's some group buying duct tape and all these explosive things." And I don't know whether it's like a left-handed screwdriver stuff that they were allowed to keep exploring this, but eventually they'd come to the realization that Matt Nix, Mattnix, that it was just this TV series Burn Notice. And Matt Nix has apparently said, yes, everything they show you is true, but not complete. They leave out something really significant so that you can't do all this kind of stuff. Oh, Stuart, yes, thank you. Oh, I got it right. Excellent. And Matthew says as well, yes, thank you both very much. I'm trying to think what he's written since, but I really enjoyed Burn Notice. Mark, another example. I've had bad luck with both my wives. The first one left me and the second one didn't. Boom. Okay, Mark, here through Thursday, 2-drink minimum. See your waitress for details and stuff like that. Let's see. Have I missed anything? I like your mother because... Oh, I like your monitor. Sorry, I was thinking, how do you know my mom? What's going on here? A little bit. You've got the same one. Great. What do you think of the resolution of it? I'm finding it a bit low. It's better than the monitor I had before, so that's good. And I love the width for it. But actually, I tell you what, since we talk about the monitor, is there anything more to tell you useful about Apple Intelligence? It's coming, well, you knew that. I truly, truly don't understand this thing I said earlier. That some things I've got, some things I haven't. And some of the things I haven't got are the ones I really want. Like the big news this week was in Safari. It was expected to be like an ad blocker thing that you could just swipe your hand over an advert and never see it again. And that isn't the case. That hasn't happened. But there's a Doctor Who website that drives me spare because the text is really quite good. And there's always something else you want to check there, and it's a rabbit hole thing, and there's so much of it. You could spend hours in there, except it's constantly throwing things in your face. Well, apparently next time you go and squiggle, can't get it to work. Again, the friend in Wales, he wrote a feature all about it. Is there something? Is it reached all the way over from America through to Wales, but stopped before it got to England? I don't know. The last time I saw the duct tape on a show was on my favourite series, Lucifer, with Tom Ellis, when the goddess of all creation was bleeding light. Do you ever think we do a strange job, this writing luck, for it? Yeah, you're thinking yes. There. Apple Intelligence, more's coming. Safari bits, I think, are going to be good. I think Safari is going to help us. I think we're going to have to continue being wary. I think Apple telling itself to not hallucinate. I mean, they wouldn't do it if it doesn't do something, but I don't think it's working brilliantly yet. I'm getting some summaries that are actually the opposite of what I've said and things like that. So, yeah. But this thing, right at the start, I said that what I ultimately want is more time to write, and anything that helps me, great. Apple Intelligence, I think is going to become that. I don't think it's there yet, but we've got all these millions of other things. Actually, Stuart, you explicitly talked about this as automation, and you suggested it as an idea. Can you pop in some of those sorts of things you're doing with this? Because I think, actually, you saw the monitor. Let me show you a thing with the monitor. Is this really automation? Okay, I tell you what, let's start with this. This is a Stream Deck, okay? And actually, can you see this? The light's a new toy. I have a button on there. Press that. I doubt that you can see this, but maybe you can see the colors have changed. I go to a different section. There are different controls. I press that button. Are you taking notes? Yeah. I press that button and it opens up 5 or 6 apps that I need for a particular job. I mean, basically, it just launches the app. So you could just launch Slack, launch Safari, launch Mail, launch OmniFocus, do all of that. But this just, I push the button, I go make a cup of tea, and I've come back. It's launched them all, and it's arranged it around the desk. So I actually have like 4 or 5 slots for things, and it pops things where highlight them. And it also pops things in spaces. If you know spaces, I think you like it. If you haven't, then watch this. Like, great. I'm trying to do this subtly, but you can see me looking for the right keystroke there. And so something I'm not using much, I keep over there on a totally new space and things. I don't know if you can call that automation, the flipping back and forth is, but it's saving time, and I like that. Thomas saying, yeah, I'll take AI as another tool. I'd use it if it helps my workflow. Yeah, I think we're still in the hype section, aren't we? But this kind of thing that we use is useful. So that Stream Deck I just mentioned, basically all it is a collection of buttons, and it runs different things. Oh, Darren says, I think we need a 58 keys, 3-biscuit guide for Stream Deck for writers. How to help us write more after further research and another cup of tea. Of course. Okay, sold. It might not be a very long Stream Deck. The thing with Stream Deck is, okay, you've seen the hardware. The hardware is very nice. It's a series of buttons. You can get them in different sizes. I have the largest one here because I got the small one, then I got hooked and went up. Every button has an image on it, so I spent far too long putting images together to go on there. And you press a button to turn on the light to do this and that. Great. The software to do that is what we would spend a 3-biscuit guide doing, because the software is a bit clunky, I think. And there are alternatives to it, but I found them clunky too. But okay, yeah, I'll make sure we do that. I'm just thinking, do I tell you now? Do I tell you then? Can't keep you waiting. It's not flawless for it. Like, I'm trying to think of the example that I have. Oh, okay, too. I mentioned images earlier. I said that I don't use generative AI, but I do generate a lot of images. I use an app called Pixelmator Pro, and maybe it's just a small reframing of a photograph. It's certainly fitting an image to certain sizes to go on the websites that I do things for. The 58 Keys has a poster image. There's a certain size on YouTube. I have a template for that, and I put things in. But in all of these cases, I make the image and then I use it, and then I never need it again. The finished thing is the finished thing. But at the end of the day, I think, did I say I have 20 images? That's quite common. 20 tabs open in Pixelmator Pro, and I don't want any of them. So I can, at the moment, close one with what would be Command W. Then I can click the delete button, Command W, click. You can quit, and it'll go, review them all. And you go, delete. I would like one button on the Stream Deck that just quits Pixelmator Pro, deletes all of the tabs, lets me get on with it. Say that to you, that sounds quite dangerous, but be useful. At times, I have had a keyboard Maestro macro that would do that. And right now, I can't get it to work. The software to do it says I'm doing it, but doesn't. The Stream Deck button says I'm pressing the button, and it is. It's just something's wrong, and I don't know where. I'll tell you what, I'll solve that, and then I'll do the 58 keys. How about this? Missing stuff here. Dot, I made a vest out of duct tape for a Storm X-Men cosplay for a friend. Dot, there's this gorgeous line in the Simpsons once where Lisa Simpson says, I know what every word means, but... Okay, now I'm trying to picture that. Mark, thank you. There's a very talented British lady named Rosemary Orchard who's written volumes on automation. Yeah, Rosemary Orchard is fantastic. She co-presents the Automators podcast. I think she's tons. She's really interesting because she's a full-time podcaster. She's a full-time developer, and somehow she's also a full-time developer for some other company. Yeah, I admire her stuff a lot. Yes, with Alpha. She also does Android stuff as well, but I don't listen to that. Pixelmator Pro, rules. Yes. I wish Pixelmator Pro was on the iPad. There is Pixelmator, and it's good. It's just not the same. Stuart, I think I need macros to integrate OmniFocus with other apps. What can I show you that you can see? Hang on. Please tell me at the end that I did this, because I've got to undo this. There's a button here. Press that. Can you see anything come up on the screen? No, you can't. But I mean, if you were really looking closely, a dialog box has appeared up there. I push that button. I enter some details. It gets saved into certain places. One of which is OmniFocus. It's a task to do with things like that. So yeah, that's the kind of thing you can use it for. Why would you do that? The point is, there I am writing away. I think of something, push that button, write whatever it is, dismiss it, and I'm carried on writing. If you got out a stopwatch and timed how long it took me to do that, I mean, you'd have to be really fast fingered to do it. So it doesn't sound like it's a benefit at all, but it really is, because the cognitive load of you swapping from the thing you're writing to, oh, I've got this idea, get that done, and then back, that switching takes a long time. I'm getting a lot of phone calls at the moment, and it works out that apparently it takes 15 minutes after a phone call to get fully back into whatever you're doing. There's a bug in iOS 18.1. It only seems to be affecting me. I don't know why. I suppose it's recompense for not getting all the Safari stuff. My iPhone will just randomly switch on Do Not Disturb, and it's fantastic because I've missed so many calls that would have distracted me there for it. Michael, you ordered a Stream Deck and tried it out, but found it clunky, wound up returning it. Maybe I didn't have your patience. I'm usually quite good at figuring stuff out, but I didn't get on well with it. Yeah. It's the soft. I'm going to guess that it was the software and the setting up of the buttons that did it. I mean, the actual feel of the buttons is nice. I went through a patch where I wasn't using it much at all, and I don't know why. And then I wanted it for something. And while I was doing it, I was making the image. I was looking at the software and kind of got used to it. I mean, we're both sounding like we're really criticizing it here. And I just think would it be fair to say it could be better? There's if you look into it again, there's also an app called Better Touch Tool, which is the only thing I know that can take over a Stream Deck and replace it with its own options. But actually, I found that a bit confusing too. Maybe I just got trained down the wrong way for it. Stuart, gotcha, that's the one. Yeah, that kind of thing for it. So pressing buttons on a Stream Deck. I feel like I'm trying to sell you a Stream Deck here, but you can't have mine. Okay. The thing with the Stream Deck is all it does is trigger things. What I'm interested in are the things that it triggers. I like the buttons. I like the fact that you saw the lights change. There was a central section that became red. If I go into a certain app, the middle row becomes red. I go over to Safari. I think I've made it come yellow and things like this. I'm changing the buttons. I'm changing the visuals of it. I'm messing around far too much with this, but it automatically swaps to whatever I want, having set it up once, and I like that. But what I'm setting it up in every case is to go do something or a series of some things. I would like to have shown you this, even though maybe I shouldn't, but the fact that that little bit was so small on the screen. Let me give you an example of saving time that's more than an example of saving time, and that is using Apple tools to get things done and to give us more writing time. I can't justify this. I don't understand it, but as a species, it seems writers are really bad at invoicing for their work. I mean, I'm good at it now because I have to be, it's my business. But when I've been on the other end and I've been hiring writers, getting them to submit the bleeding invoice is shockingly hard. You know, you come to the year end and you say, please get it in while I've got the budget. I know there's a thing that we feel sometimes that we can't ask for the money for something until we know that it's liked and accepted. But I promise you, having been on the other side, I don't care. There's the writing I'm interested in. I've already mentally spent that budget on you. All you're doing is helping me get it off the books and done. So when I deliver something, I invoice now. Okay, but invoicing, it's got to be done right. It can take a long time. It can be complicated. And whatever it is in us that puts things off, puts things off. I now have, for some reason, do you know, I don't know why this isn't a button on Stream Deck. I have it as a keystroke. I will write an invoice and I will hold down, go look at the keyboard, Command Shift P, which is normally print, but I haven't had a printer in 10 years. It takes the invoice, makes a PDF out of it, takes the invoice number, renames the PDF to be that invoice number, asks me a couple of questions about it, who the client is for something, and then it automatically emails my bookkeeper with the invoice number, the amount, what it's about. I mean, it just does that. Compiles the email and sends it. I don't even see it. And it also creates an email to go to the client. Doesn't send that one, opens it up ready for me. I used to have it automatically attach the invoice, and I've broken that somehow. But it comes up with, you know, the name of the person. Here's my invoice. Thanks. This is what the invoice number is. This is what it's for. And then I drag in the attachment and I personalize the email and then I send it off for it. Most of that is done automatically. Oh, and I love this one. And all of this is going on at the same time. OmniFocus, my to-do app, has a task added. 30 days from today, whenever today is, whenever I'm sending out the invoice, 30 days from now, I will fire up OmniFocus and there will be a task that says, check invoice number, whatever, has been paid. It's amazing, actually, how often that's helped me. I would have missed a payment. You can't believe you could miss a payment, but you can when there's a lot going on, and this has made certain. I have a friend who's actually an accountant in a company, and I believe she's either impressed or annoyed, I don't know which way it goes for her, that I'm the one now chasing her instead of her chasing me. I mean, she's actually the best of the accountants I worked with, but there was one mistake, and I found it before she did, and I found it because of my system, but I didn't tell her that. Wouldn't do the automator or maybe the shortcut app do this for you? Well, the thing is, I was trying to avoid this little bit. Actually, can I avoid it for just a tiny bit more? Diash, am I pronouncing your name right there? What are your thoughts on bi-directional linking in note taking? Oh, that's a massive topic. Let's go back to Thomas for a second. Let's bounce around. This is why 58 Keys is usually pre-recorded, so I can sort out the sequence for it. Don't let me leave without talking about bidirectional linking. I said that I just press a keyboard shortcut. Okay, that shortcut actually fires off Keyboard Maestro, and the first thing Keyboard Maestro does is it launches a shortcut that asks me the invoice number. And then when I've got the invoice number and that data is compiled and it's all saved, Keyboard Maestro creates the PDF, saves it into a certain folder. That folder is watched by Keyboard Maestro. Anything is added in there, any PDF is added to that particular folder, it launches another Keyboard Maestro, which launches another shortcut, which does all the email stuff. Shortcuts will not look at a folder and react to it. You can't trigger a shortcut that way. You need Keyboard Maestro or an app called Hazel. Love Hazel. Also, don't let me escape without covering that one. So the thing is, I use shortcuts. I use them a lot. I use them in Keyboard Maestro. I think shortcuts is brilliant, but it has certain limits so far. And really, I don't think there's anything you can do in shortcuts that you couldn't do in Keyboard Maestro. But as much as I love Keyboard Maestro, shortcuts is easier. Black said, hello, sir. I don't know why I like that. There's just something like, you said that and now you're going to say something else. Serious. My voice is going down there. Teresa, I have not been able to fully attend because you have four guys here working on your roof and gutters and I needed to do something. But perhaps watch your inbox for a semi-literate email. Okay. Okay, I'm just, all those people on the roof, if you're up there looking down, it's like Milton Jones' stolen joke. Thomas, I just use shortcuts to record Siri's reading voice, save it as audio to create my first Siri audiobook. Wow. And you sound like you're happy. I mean, there's a smiley thing there. It worked well. Was Siri okay with an extended patch? Was it easy enough to do? You got to tell me all these things. Oh, just an Apple fan and enjoy your videos. Thank you. That's lovely. Good. Bidirectional linking and Hazel. Bidirectional linking, linking in two directions. Thing is, I'm not. Can you just make sure you tell me why you're asking that? Because I think you're either coming from the fact that it is possible to link Apple Notes together now, and I think Bear's always been able to do this, things like that. But you saw me go, oh, it's because there's an app called Hookmark, which is actually now championing links that are bidirectional. They want links like this to be as common in every app as copy and paste is. And I love Hookmark. Tom's saying it worked fine. Oh, not perfect. Okay, curious to know. Is the not perfect stuff something that you could fix or improve for next time, or is that the way it is with Siri? Also love the new the collapsible headings in Notes in the beta. Do you know, I knew that was there and I haven't looked at it. Oh, I will do that after we've talked. Okay. Hookmark, just in case I talk about Hookmark when I pass people on the street. You know, it's hello, I'm William. Do you know about Hookmark? That sounded so religious there, didn't it? Can I interest you in the word of Hookmark and OmniFocus and OmniOutliner and Macs and iPhone? Because I just told you a financial example, the invoicing thing. One of the ways I've trained myself to be a better writer financially is I have a couple of bank accounts, business one, personal. Yeah, I check them every day. Not like there's a lot of activity in them, but I make myself check them every day. And the way I do it is I open one specific numbers spreadsheet. I press Control and H, and that gives me a list through Hookmark of each of the bank accounts. Hit cursor up and down, hit return, and bam, I'm off to that bank account. But it's only that specific numbers spreadsheet. No other sheet does it. Not even a tab in that sheet does it, I think. And I love that ability to gather things together. Now that isn't true bidirectional, because although I suppose I could get the banks to link back, I never do. I just command tab back to the spreadsheet. I also do a thing where at the moment I'm working on a conference program for a company called NAWE, the National Association of Writers in Education. They have a conference in November. I'm designing their program for it. Bidirectional linking. I have the Affinity Publisher document I'm doing this in, but I've also got 4 people telling me what they need in it. So I'm in the middle of the Affinity Publisher. I can press one button and be in my Apple Notes where I'm compiling what people have said and what I've done, what I haven't. And in that note, I can think I haven't got everything there. Press a button and I'm in the last email from somebody about a particular thing for it. And when I've read the email, a button, I'm back in Affinity Publisher. It's about this. I love bidirectional linking. Never use that term in quite that way, but I like the action of it for how it keeps me in the moment. I don't know how to do the next bit in Affinity Publisher 2. I must go to Mail to see what Derek or Sophie has said and then search the mail and find it. And then now actually I've done that bit. I just, what's that thing? There it is. Done that, back again. That's what I think of as bidirectional linking. But do tell me why you're asking, because I'm curious what apps you're using in, or what you find you're not able to do with it. That'd be really useful. Let's see. Also, oh yeah, the collapsible headings. That's on my mind now. I'd actually forgotten about that, and I'm using Apple Notes so much. I have a reference folder where I put in things that I'm currently working on, lists and stuff. It's all supposed to be about saving time writing. Remember, this is the ultimate aim. We want to write. But it does occur to me, everything I've talked about actually takes us a bit of time. I mean, pressing a button, pressing a keystroke, something like that. I think of those as active things, mostly because I think of this next thing I want to be sure you know about as a passive thing. Remember I said that I have these 20 images in Pixelmator Pro at the end, and I want to get rid of them, and I do, and I laboriously do all of this. But the reason I can get rid of those is I have created the images I want, I have saved the final version, but still I don't need them again. So I've opened Pixelmator Pro, I've created the image, I've exported it as a PNG file, and then I've taken that PNG file and put it in YouTube, I've put it in a client's content management system. It's gone and done, it's in the job, but there it is still in the folder. I have a folder called the image drop folder. It's like a temporary thing. Anything to do with images goes right there. And I mean anything to do with images. If I download an image, it goes to the downloads folder and it is moved automatically into the image drop folder. If I take a screenshot, it doesn't go to where it normally goes, which I think is downloads or your desktop. It goes into the image drop folder. Everything imagely, making up words now, all goes into here. So as you can imagine, that folder gets pretty full, except it doesn't. Through the same system that does all the moving, this happens. Is there a possible way I can show you this? I mean, I'm really conscious that we're looking at very small things here. Maybe I should. Is it? Nah. Okay, well, you can see there's a window. Honestly, the quality of production on a live video. That window has 11 items in it, and about 6 of them have a little green dot next to it. Okay. Sometime tonight, and I genuinely cannot remember when because I set this up so long ago, but sometime tonight, those ones that don't have a green dot will be automatically deleted. This app called Hazel looks at that folder and says, is this an image file that's more than a day old? Kill it. Is it an image file, though, that's today, or leave it for now? Is it an image file that has a green dot? If it's green dot, leave it forever. Okay. This means I come in the next morning and that folder, well, it will have 6 in it tomorrow morning. It just has the ones I keep now and I need, and the ones I need during the day. And this thing, I said this was passive. I've got the window open there, but I don't have to. Hazel will just do it. Hazel watches that folder and at a certain time kills everything for it. So that's a passive background thing. That means, again, it doesn't sound like much, but tomorrow morning I go into that image folder and instead of all of yesterday's, all of the day before, all of the last year's worth of images, there's just what I need. So I go straight to what I want and get on with what I need to do today. Tiny little things really add up and make a difference for it. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing some things here. Louise Rule. Oh, there's a character called Harry Rule in The Protectors, half-hour Jerry Anderson live action series in the 70s, I want to say, famous for nothing other than the theme, actually. Tony Christie singing Avenues and Alleyways by, I've forgotten his name. Okay. Somebody. Also, I think he also wrote into Crossroads. Anyway, great song, really popular, successful stuff, and that's nothing to do with what you're asking, but you put it back in my head. Sorry, Louise. I have all things Apple, and my husband says I've been Appleized. Thanks for your very helpful videos. Love watching. Oh, thank you. That's my mother. And tell your husband, join us. Join us. Your OmniFocus and Scrivener workflow is awesome. So wondering if with Scrivener or other note-taking app, you link different notes as cause and effect OmniFocus tasks. Obsidian, etc. have linking. Obsidian, I was wondering if you're an Obsidian user. I quite admire Obsidian and yet never get round to using it. Interesting. What was the first bit? I just skipped over it. OmniFocus. I have quite a few repeating tasks in OmniFocus. Well, I mentioned there's a 58 Keys Patreon thing. Okay, you're a 58 Keys Patreon member. You get usual stuff. You get videos early and all this stuff. And you get extra things and there's exclusives. But there's a set of things that I need to do for it every day. And at the end of the week for it, I have one last task, which is set up next week's stuff. I think I've named it better. I hope I've named it better than that. That's an OmniFocus task, repeats in this thing. I go into that task and there is a button to run a shortcut actually that creates the next week's folder. It goes off and finds out what week number it is We just had week 75 of Patreon since it started. So the next one, it will automatically know it's 76. So if I haven't finished last week's one, I'll see week 75 stuff, week 76, and it's all in there. So there's a link straight from shortcuts to OmniFocus back to shortcuts and things. And there are one or two OmniFocus tasks where I mentioned I have a reference folder, and it's getting so big now, but it has details in it of how to do things that are, they're not difficult. Like there's one magazine I tend to do about 3 times a year, and unfortunately 3 times a year is just long enough that I can't remember all the fiddly bits, particularly at the end of the production process. So about 3 years ago now, as I got to the end, I did a screen recording of it, and I laboriously went through, click here, find that fact, do this stuff, and that's in a note, and that's now in the project task. So I just go straight from OmniFocus to that. Tony Christie. No, wait, he was a singer, wasn't he? Not the song. Did he write it? I am infinitely more impressed with Tony Christie if he wrote it and sang it. How many of you are testing the betas? Did we all look guilty there? You should never test betas. I am actually having some problems. I mentioned the do not disturb thing, which I genuinely like. I don't know why in the world it's happening, but I do like it. But I'm having a weird problem with the volume buttons. I do not know what I'm doing there. While we're talking about Scrivener, do you know Litera and Latte? Do you know Litera and Latte works on a new writing app for Mac, iPad, phone? It's going to be released this year, and it's possible to use iCloud Sync. Oh, that's superb. Well, I mean, it depends on the app, doesn't it? But iCloud Sync. I'm sorry, I've just seen the time. We've gone over the hour. On that bombshell, very quickly, in case you don't know it, Scrivener, as great as it is, it has one small problem, which is that you have one document that has the text you want your reader to read, but also you can have all your previous drafts, all of your research. You can drag in website links, you can drag in PDFs, videos, even, I think, all sorts of things. And it's one big document. It gets very big, and it can't be saved in iCloud because iCloud doesn't sync a big thing. It syncs little tiny bits. So at any one time, a little tiny bit is synced over to your other devices, not all of it. Whereas Dropbox, which Scrivener recommends, does the lot. You know, it's a feature of how they do their job, but it means I keep Dropbox specifically for Scrivener. You have to keep an eye out. Dot saying you have to keep an eye out for it. Absolutely no. Dot, were you being sarcastic there? Mark used to test betas all the time before moving to Apple and Tie. Microsoft just called them Windows updates. All right, on that gag, Mark, thank you very much. Listen, everybody, I love that we get to talk like this, and I'm proud of you for making this descend into chaos immediately. We should all have a cup of tea and maybe a biscuit for it. Right, there will be a regular 58 Keys episode next week. I'm going to tell you now, it's going to be the 4th biscuit to OmniFocus. It's going to be really deep dive into one last section of OmniFocus, totally optional section. So you don't have to use it, but if it suits you, it's really useful. That'll be out next week. Tuesday for Patreon members without ads, Wednesday for the rest of us. And also, I should say this, do have a look at the descriptions of any of the 58 Keys videos. I haven't put it in this one yet. Give me 5 minutes and then look at this one. There'll be a link to my mailing list. And as we near September, I'm about to launch a series of online courses, some about writing, some about using particular tools that we've been talking about today. So Scrivener, for example. I've just been booked to do a Scrivener guide for another company. Now, why am I doing it for them and not for you? So I'm doing it for you, but details later. In the meantime, I have to find a subtle way to lean over here to this button. Am I doing this subtly enough? And then, oops, nearly launched Pixelmator Pro. Yes. Is this my good side? Oh, wait a second. One thing. Dot saying goodbye all. Great hanging out. Fabulous descent. That's what we should call this, the fabulous descent. Thank you. Take care.